March 9th, 2020, I put in my 2 weeks notice at H&M. March 15th, 2020, I clocked out of that job for the last time and I haven't clocked into a job since. Now when I quit that job, I told myself that the next paycheck I got would be from YouTube. It would be from self-employment. And lo and behold, it actually happened. In May or maybe early June of 2020, I ended up getting monetized on YouTube. And ever since then, I have been earning a living from the YouTube channel that you're currently watching. That said, throughout that time, I saw my income grow exponentially. And eventually, I was making an amount of money that I wasn't really accustomed to. I had never made this much money in the past. At H&M, I was making $11.25 an hour, whereas on YouTube, I was making upwards of $5,000 or even $6,000 a month at 21 years old. And I didn't really understand the dynamics of YouTube income and really self-employment income as a whole. You see, self-employment income is very volatile. It's not stable. One month you might make $5,000 and then the next month you might make $2,500. And the more money you make, the bigger the fluctuations get. So you might make $80,000 in a month and then the next month you make $40,000. And to you, both numbers seem very high, but in reality for that person, their income just dropped by 50%. Imagine your income dropping by 50%. It's a very unsettling feeling. And eventually, if you haven't followed my channel up to this point, I'll just make a long story short. I ended up going homeless. I ended up living in my car because I built a lifestyle that was based on that peak income of $6,000 a month, when in reality, my average was closer to $3,000 a month. When I went homeless and I started living in my car, I was bombarded by external pressure from not only people in my life, in particular my parents, but also a lot of my subscribers to go and get a job. So many people were telling me, Jordan, you need to go get a job, get yourself back right, and then you can try this YouTube thing again. You can try your little YouTube thing again. I didn't get a job. Instead, I chose to live in my car for 3 months and slowly but surely begin building my savings back up. And this involved a major downgrade in status, a major downgrade in pride. Because you go from living this high life to living in a car. But for me, I was much more willing to subject myself to that than to subject myself to the slavery of a 9-to-5. Now, obviously, that's a little bit dramatic. It's not slavery, okay, because you're getting paid. Most 9-to-5s really probably aren't that bad. I wouldn't know because I've never worked one. But what I do know is that I've worked jobs before and I did not like them. And it's not the fact that I was working retail jobs. It's not the fact that I was working for $11.25 an hour. It's the fact that I was working for someone else who had control over my life and in particular had control over my time. You see, this morning, my girlfriend told me something that her internship managers told her yesterday. Yesterday was her last day at her internship, so congratulations to her. But she told me something that they told her that really, really freaked me out. She said that they told her to enjoy this summer vacation because this is the last one she's going to get. Because whenever she starts working at a job, she will have to ask people, she will have to ask her managers for time off. And when she told me this, it actually sent chills up my spine because I realized that people actually live like this for 40 plus years at a time, having to ask other people. We're talking about fully grown adults, 30, 40, 50 years old, having to ask other people if they can have time off. Now listen, if you work a 9-to-5, I'm not here to put you down or degrade you or tell you that you need to quit your job and start a YouTube channel. That is by no means what I'm trying to say with this video. But I do believe that, in my personal opinion, that sort of lifestyle is actually worse than my lowest point on YouTube, where I was living in a car. Now, you might think that I'm crazy for saying and thinking that. As a matter of fact, it's not might. You do think I'm crazy for thinking and saying that, and justifiably so. Because you, like most of society, value security over freedom. This right here is where me and you are a little bit different. Or maybe you're not different. Maybe you resonate with everything I'm saying. and you value freedom over security. There's a quote that I heard a few years back, and it has stuck with me since. The quote goes, "There are two doors in life. One door is marked freedom, the other door is marked security. If you walk through the door marked security, you get neither. And if you walk through the door marked freedom, you get both." Now, I'm still waiting for that security to present itself because truthfully, I haven't really found much security on this YouTube journey. As a matter of fact, I found a lot of uncertainty, especially as it pertains to my income and the sustainability of my income, because I've learned the hard way that just because you make a lot of money while you're self-employed doesn't mean you will keep making a lot of money while you're self-employed. But I would much rather live with that soul-crushing uncertainty of not knowing if you'll be able to pay your bills than to have the soul-crushing certainty of knowing that although I will be able to pay my bills, I don't actually control my time. You see, whenever I dropped out of college, I made a very strong conclusion. I came to a very strong conclusion about how much I value my freedom. And that was that I would rather make $50,000 a year working for myself than to make $500,000 a year working for someone else. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you work for yourself, I believe that you're actually more likely to make that $500,000 a year because your income isn't constrained by management. If you have a boss right now, if you have somebody that is paying you money, if you're on somebody's payroll, you are never going to make more money than them. So if your boss is making $100,000 a year, you're never going to make more than $100,000 a year working at your job, unless your boss starts making $200,000 a year. But even in that instance, it's in the business's best interest to keep the margins as big as possible. So they'll probably be more inclined to increase your salary incrementally, even if the overall business revenue is increasing exponentially. And to this point, a lot of people, again, they value security over freedom, but in all actuality, your job isn't that secure. It's not as secure as you think it is, because here's the thing. If the business, which we've already established, tends to be volatile unless it's operating based on a recurring revenue model, if the business starts to experience those low points, if it starts to go into the red and they have to cut their losses, guess who they're going to cut first? They're going to cut the employees. They're going to cut people like you. Okay, they're going to cut you. So in other words, your income, your secure job is only as secure as the business that you work for. But we've already established that businesses are volatile, and that is why you have chosen to not go into business. That's why you've chosen to work for somebody else. But you're choosing to work for somebody who's going to experience the volatility, therefore you will experience the volatility too. So in other words, when you walk through the door marked security, you get neither. When you walk through the door marked freedom, you get both.